Well, hello there. How's it going? Welcome back to Catching Up with Coach King, show specifically where we talk to FBA owner and former basketball player, but most importantly, Florida Flight head coach Mark King. Let's bring in Coach King right now. Coach, how you doing? It's good to
I'm
see
great.
you.
I'm great, Jesse. It's good to see you as well. Get another one going on here. Uh,
Absolutely.
I'm
And we
excited.
have fun. We have fun when we're doing these too. It's a good time.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
So let's just jump right into some things real quick. The first thing I kind of wanted to talk about was the GSEG. You have posted all over Facebook and many other places about a GSEG, and we haven't had a chance to kind of talk about what that is. So if you could just tell all of us essentially what the GSED does and what it even stands for as well.
Sure. So GSCG is Global Sports and Entertainment Group. My wife and a couple of other attorneys, Jennifer Englert and Jared Eltridge, formed an agency last year, which works well for me. I'm not a part of the agency technically, of course. My wife is one of the attorneys on there. She's a co-owner. But basically, with all the success we've been having over the years, um, especially last year, I was tripping over to the New York Knicks and the Lakers with Brandon Moss and Grant Gullett, and one of our attorney colleagues, Jennifer Englert, was like, "This doesn't make much sense. Why are we not representing players? It seems like you've come to that point where there's high quality players, and we should." Represent them. We're attorneys for Pete's sake, and so out of that idea, we kind of brainstormed a few things, and we came up with the GSCG model, and it's a new agency, but it's an agency with our agents are attorneys, so high powered. Looking forward to having some great years. Of course, COVID hindered a lot of our progression, but I'm super proud of my wife, Florence King. For being a part of that, it's not just in this Global Sports and Entertainment Group. It's not just athletes. It's musicians, actors, authors. Shout out to our good friend Christy Lambert, who's a newly published author. We represent her as well. It's been a lot of fun, and at the end of the day, it's good to represent people to help them get out their dreams. And for us, for the entire Florida Basketball Association, and of course, all of our players don't have to be represented by GSCG at all, but it works, and we've had a few of our Florida Flight players get representation, and we're looking forward to COVID getting by the wayside so that we can get back to work and doing what we're doing.
And do you predict that GSCG is going to completely expand? With this kind of newer year of the FBA that we're having.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a lot of coverage and exposure. I have a lot of stuff, and I probably won't say anything tonight, but our next couple of shows, we're going to talk about some very, very amazing international global stuff that we're bringing to the FBA. In fact, it's actually about an hour away from breaking news, just speaking with a couple of my connections on that. But GSCG is going to be a big part of that, I'm sure, and it's just going to be exciting all the way around. What we're doing with the FBA is making minor league basketball in the United States super credible, and it's going to be good for all parties for sure.
So one of the guys that you actually have signed to the GSEG, excuse me, is Grant Gullett. You just name dropped him a few seconds ago there. We've had a chance to talk to Brandon Moss, but of course, as I happen to know, both Brandon Moss and Grant Gullett were your co-MVPs of the Florida Flight last year.
Absolutely.
And so Grant is one of the people that has signed with GSEG. If we have a clip of Grant, let's go ahead and show a clip of Grant real quick. You go first.
Big bucket that end, and obviously, that's just a very minuscule amount of highlights from Grant from 2019.
Yeah.
You're talking about actually a two-time NBA or FBA champion. Maybe I'm speaking it into existence. Two-time NBA champion, but no, Grant is has been such a joy to coach. Very stellar athlete, very professional. Always doing the extra, stays in the gym, and it's my understanding he's quite the beast right now. He's not taking any time off with COVID, and has done whatever he's needed to do to get ready for what's coming. But I think very highly of Grant. He's definitely one of the best players in flight history, and I'm just excited and waiting for his breakout to come, for him to catch on somewhere overseas and just continue moving up the ranks. So.
I mean, he can play off the ball. He can play with the ball. He can shoot. He can dunk. Good basketball player, but, an even better man of the few times I've met him. And actually, I think Grant's joining us today. Is that correct?
He is. He is right there.
Oh, look at that.
Hey. Y'all hear me
How's it going,
right?
Grant?
Can
How you
hear me
doing?
Okay.
Yeah, we
we
can
can
hear
hear
you. We got you.
Okay, good.
How's
doing
it going,
all right.
man?
How are you guys doing?
Just another day of catching up with Coach King. I'm hard to catch, but
Yeah.
we try to make it a weekly
Always
thing.
busy.
So we got Grant Gold on with us. Grant, it's good to see you, man. How are things? You clearly look like you've been working out, man. You look good. Oh, I like it. I have a few questions I want to ask you here, Mark. You or Coach King, you can jump in at any time.
Sure.
My first one, Grant, is you've had opportunities to try out for minor league basketball teams pretty much everywhere, and you've had chances for the G League as well. Can you tell us about your experience with the Knicks real quick?
Well, so the Knicks was my second NBA G League workout.
Okay.
And coming off, I actually worked out for the Heat first. And coming off that, my head was big. I mean, I played probably some of the best basketball the best basketball that I have played for the Heat. So I'm going into the Knicks. I'm a little nervous. The wind is different. Being up north, I know I'm running and shooting, and I'm just like, oh man, that's kind of different. But had to get used to that. I didn't play as well in New York towards the beginning, but towards the end, I kind of started to catch my stride and knock down shots and kind of show the athlete that I am. But yeah.
So and you had your coach right here go with you to New York. Was it kind of hard playing in front of him in like a sort of different environment, or did he make you a little more calm?
Well, actually, they wouldn't even let me in. I was so disappointed. Yeah, I think it's an agency thing. They don't let a lot of people into the workouts, but it didn't matter. I was glad I was there. We had a good time. It was nice to get those guys prepared. But they're grown men. They don't need me around. I stood in the background and let them do their thing. But
we got
So
the
Grant,
King voice in our head.
Oh yeah.
Shoot it right now.
It never leaves.
Hey, yeah, King got the vision. He got the vision.
triangle.
Grant, so what tell us a little bit about where you've gotten to play over the past few years, and we'll get into the flight in a sec because that's kind of the main part of this, but I want to hear about where else you've played and kind of how that's made you who you are today.
Okay, just professionally or college?
All of the above, yes.
Okay, well, I went to Palm Beach Atlantic University in West Palm Beach.
Go Sailfish.
Alumnus. But yes, I played there for 2 years. Actually, got to a conference championship, lost by a buzzer beater, 1 point, 71-70. Still dreaming about that one. But and then my second year didn't do so hot. Probably the most talented college team I had played on just didn't mesh well, I guess. And right after that, I went on a tour to the Philippines. Went out there to the Philippines. Oh my goodness, the dirtiest basketball I have ever played, man.
Refs don't call fouls.
Oh my, I mean, it's that, and then when the refs aren't looking, the players are doing something to you. It could be inappropriate, all kinds of crap. So,
Wow.
yeah, it was
Wow.
a different experience for sure. They love basketball over there, though. The fans were amazing. Everyone wanted a picture, and I mean that's just how it is overseas, I guess. But I played super well in the Philippines. After that, I came back and played for the Palm Beach Knights in the FBA, and never got to play against the Florida Flight. But we ended up winning a championship that year. And then right after that,
Move. No, I'm just kidding.
You can't boo him. He's one of your guys now.
I'm
What are you
playing.
talking about?
hey,
Well, I'll tell
actually,
you.
Coach
Go
actually
ahead.
presented me my trophy.
I did. Yeah.
That's terrible.
Part of being the FBA owner when the commissioner can't arise to the occasion. Thanks a lot, Greg, give me presenting a championship trophy that I wanted, but that's all right. No, but honestly, and I think that just to interject for a brief second in
Yeah.
terms of the FBA, I did recruit Grant. I did scout him. I talked to Coach Balza at Palm Beach Atlantic, and Grant was living in Palm Beach. So for him, he did come to the, I think at least one or two practices. We loved him. All the guys loved him. And the problem was it was just too far of a drive. It just wasn't going to work financially, even logistically for him. And, the next best thing, I contacted Shamel and the Palm Beach Knights and asked them if they needed a player. And it was the typical nonchalant, well, send him over, but, we kind of like our guys. But I said, you're going to want to take a look at this guy. And they eventually got connected. And, I believe I need to at least be the co-MVP of that championship.
Hey, yeah. Hey,
look. What I was thinking is, Grant, you immediately came in to the FBA and won a championship. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And
so
Coach,
actually, oh, go ahead.
Okay. No. I was going to say, Coach, how long did it take you to win a championship?
You can go ahead, Grant. 10 years, but who's counting?
But it happened.
That's all right.
Yeah. Grant, go ahead.
Ask me how many more.
Oh, I like that. I like that answer. Because it's crazy too. So I kind of understand what you mean about that nonchalant, like, oh, we kind of got our players. Because when I first came in, man, I was riding the bench though, like, oh my, so much. I've never ridden the bench this much in my life. So my first game, I didn't play a lick. Like, it didn't even touch the court, and we won. No, we lost. We lost that game. So I just remember being on the bench, like, man, like, come on, coach, take a chance on me. But so then I remember that next practice, I was going up against the starting five, and the guy that was in my position ahead of me, I was taking him to school, like, lunch money, dinner money, all that, breakfast money. So then the coach actually said to the players, like, hey, man, your spot is not looking too locked in to the guy. And I just looked at him. I was like, nah, it's not looking locked in for you, brother.
We want to name drop the guy. I'm interested.
No, I'm not going to name drop him. He's still my boy.
I'm sorry.
So then I remember the second game, I didn't get in till the third quarter, the end of the third quarter. And I scored 17 points that game. And then the next game, I got in right at the beginning of the third quarter, and I had 27. After that, I was starting. So
wow,
that's how that went.
And then, so after the Palm Beach Nights, where'd you go?
After the Palm Beach Nights, that's when I went to China. Now China is when I got spoiled. I got up to China, man, and it was like NBA. Man, like I got there, fans were swarming me. I'm signing autographs. I'm in 5-star hotels, room service, anything you want. Pretty much that's what I had. So the team. Well, I kind of played in like tournament ball, so I played for different like bosses. So I'd get drafted every so often, right?
Hmm.
And depending on if your boss is like really balling, like he had a lot of money, is depending on where you're staying, how you're gonna get treated. And I stayed with quite wealthy bosses, so we'd be in 5-star hotels, and they just be like, "Just tell me what you want, and we bring it to you." I said,
Yeah.
"Really, man?" I remember I
He
brought
said he
my
didn't want to
Clippers.
leave China.
It wasn't all great, but I'm gonna get to that.
Oh.
I had my American Clippers, right? And I was trying to cut my hair because once you get overseas, you don't know what to do. Man, I plugged in my Clippers and it just goes and it's freaking out like it's shorted. So I'm like, no, what am I gonna do? So I unplug it real quick. I call him and I said, anything I want? He said, yeah. I said, can I get some Clippers?
Did he come through?
Man, 5 minutes later, knock, 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 Clippers. Yes. So
Wow.
I got to
Oh
cut my
my.
hair and I cut some of my teammates' hair too.
Wow.
And so so it was great. The first 2-3 months I was living large. And then it started going
Uh-oh.
downhill.
Uh-oh.
So there weren't games being played as much. There was some super bad weather. I forgot what was going on. There was some type of festival going on, and games just kind of came to a halt. And I started talking to some guys that had been there, and they said, "Well, these are the busy months." So I'm really just sitting there praying for like, when am I gonna play again? And I'm just working out every day, working out, working out, working out. And it would come to a point where the guys kept telling me, "Oh, well, we're gonna play today, or we're gonna play tomorrow," and then we weren't playing. So it kind of got like, oh, and then I'm not making money because I'm not playing. So then it kind of started going downhill, and I had some other stuff I had to get back to home. So I ended up leaving and going home, and then I came to the flight.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So now we're back at ground zero. Okay. So we're gonna run with this real quick. Stay with me here. So
Okay.
you get to the Florida flight. In your first year at the Florida flight, did you win the FBA championship?
Yes, sir.
Oh.
Yeah, he's 2 for 2.
Oh, he's 2 for 2.
Yes,
Not
sir.
The FBA.
We'll take it.
Wow.
About to be 3.
Mark, that's your secret weapon right there.
Yeah, I mean he's basically our Michael Jordan for the league. I mean, wherever you go, or are you LeBron James? You just wherever you go wherever the weather's nicer. I don't know.
Nah, just call me Grant Gullet. I like that better.
Grant,
like
so how has playing for the Florida flight kind of affected you and your game, your style, kind of going forward here, and where do you see this kind of taking you? Where do you want to go? What are your ambitions?
Oh, good question. Man, I first came to the flight, and I think my first game I played, we lost. We didn't have the whole team.
Yeah,
I
remember
I
who that
didn't.
was? Who we played?
We played my old team, the Palm Beach Knights, and yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Oh
we ended
my.
up my first game with the Florida flight. We lose to my old team, and I think after that we just went on a tear,
Yeah.
and we were just demolishing people left and right, left and right.
I think we were
And
10 and 3 or something like that. Yeah.
what'd you say?
I think we're 9 and 3 or something like that. Yeah, we
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, we were going crazy. So once we had the talent, we had the coach, we had all like anything you could ask for in the team, we had it. But it took a while for us to be like, okay, this person does this person does this. Where does this person want the ball? Where does this person want the ball? Once we
Yeah.
got that, man, scary. scary. Is all I can say, because we had multiple people that could bring the ball up the court, set it up, get multiple people involved, and it was a murder scene. So
Shooters everywhere, defenders everywhere.
right,
For me, having probably one of the most talented teams he'd had. So I felt a little bit like Phil Jackson, I think, so to speak, trying to handle the egos or whatever. But actually, what I thought was going to be egos, we really didn't have egos. And I think easily one of the most minimal ego-driven teams with the most talent I've ever seen in my life. But it was just a fun year. And we're just going to pick up where we started. After March 21st. So
Grant, you got a new season in the FBA coming up here. This will be your second year playing for Coach King,
for the
correct?
flight. Yes, sir.
Okay, for the flight. Okay. How has this guy kind of helped you mature as a basketball player?
You know what? He has really given me most all.
Uh-oh.
He gives me. He doesn't even know this. I hadn't even told him this.
I'm interested.
Even when Coach plays with us, and obviously, like, he's 43, 44. He's the least athletic person out there, but he'll be diming people, shooting the three, getting a bucket anyway, just finding a way to do it, to manipulate the defense, right? So when he's playing, he's using his mind. He's not using his athletic ability, right? Man, I remember this game actually is when I kind of started to use my mind more. We were playing the Pride, and I almost had 40. That was probably one of the most easiest games of my life because I didn't force a single shot. It was all mine. Where to put my body, where to cut. When Brandon is driving, when Elliot is driving, where do I need to pick my holes? How can I help them? So I had always used my mind to play, especially coming from Coach Balza. He mastermind crazy. But when I stepped into the role of being more free, being able to show more to what I have, I really start to begin to think like, man, like, oh my gosh, Coach really uses his mind during games, during practice, anything. So I really just started using my mind. He really helped me to use my mind and be confident in my mind, so I can make the game easier for me.
That's nice. I didn't know that. That's quite a compliment. I appreciate that.
Well, Coach, what are your 3 M's of basketball that you teach?
It is. Yep, we do. Mind, mobility, and mechanics. And the mind is first. I talked about mind today with my Circle Christian guys. It was our last practice, and I know we'll talk a little bit about them later. But getting them to understand that the mind is the first thing that has to be engaged in any sport. You have to know the rules. You have to know what you're playing. You have to know what you can do, what you can't do. And if you can put all that in a box and compete, and then you have some heart, and some determination to compete. I mean, I don't know. I still end up on top, when I play. I go to parks all the time. It's fun. I've been playing a little bit in these close scrimmages against Winter Park Storm and whatnot, and it's nice. And I never really did it. I do it for fun, but it's nice to know that players like Grant, and I'm not surprised, Grant, you're a smart player, to take something like that and engage and let that guy direct that. That's awesome. That's good. I hope the rest of the flight guys are listening, because I know they like to clown a little bit when I get in there, but then of course they get mad when I throw them a UTEP two-step or whatever. But it's good.
Having touching them the floor.
Yeah,
the floor like suicide.
Yeah, count it out. Get them ladders.
So Grant, you're obviously going to play this year, and then what are your future goals? You have the GSEG on your back as well. So where do you think you're going from here? What's the goal?
I'm thinking I'm going as far as I can take myself. I know I have the drive, the passion, and the work ethic. I know, man, playing with the flight is so much fun. We played a game outside, and we only got to play, I think, a quarter and a half. And man, I had so much fun. I kept telling Coach, I was like, Coach, man, I had so much fun. We got to do it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think I can go as far as I want to go.
My sort of my last question here for you is, I mean, it's kind of a twofold question, but what part of your game are you most confident in? What part of your game are you like actively working on right now to better yourself for this FBA season?
Most confident. You know, if you would have asked me this question 2 years ago, I would have said I do not know. But wow, I'd say my defense.
Okay.
I think I think that you can throw me in a game and just be like, all right, I need him not to drop 40 tonight on their best player. I remember at first we weren't really doing that because I was doing a lot of offense, and we have a player named Caleb on our team, and he's a really good defender too, and he just take over the load. I don't think Caleb was at this game,
He
and
got sick. He
yeah,
was getting
yeah, and I remember Coach actually was out the game too because he got into it with the refs a little bit. So
Ooh,
Coach was out of there,
it
and
happens.
I don't, what was that point guard's name, Coach?
Uh,
From St. Pete, the real good one.
yes. Kenny
I don't.
Brown. Is it Kenny
Yes,
Brown?
yes, him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kenny Brown.
So we
Yeah.
were playing them in a close game, and I remember Brandon guarding him a little bit, but Brandon wanted to play more help side, and I was just like, Brandon, watch out! Like, let me get him. And of course, like he scored, but I slowed him down a lot, and I was just like, I'm in him 94 feet,
Yeah.
and I'm on the offensive side too, trying to get mine and help the team get buckets, but I'm also 94 feet, and I've never. Well, I can't say I've never. I played the top of the press in college, but just one on one, me by myself, I've never really been on the island like that.
Mm.
And for me to guard a player that caliber and really slow him down the way I did, I was just like, wow, I could really guard. I knew I could always guard because I've always had, in my mind, I've always had really good defense. But to guard a player of his caliber and slow him down, I was just like, oh yeah, I got this.
Yeah, and shout out to Kenny Brown. I believe a previous MVP overseas and until an injury. I think he had an injury. I want to say Portugal, maybe. I don't know, but a really dynamic scorer, very quick guard, and
Yeah.
Jesse, you're talking to a guy, in Grant Gullett that didn't have any weaknesses this year. And that's straight up from his profile. It's one of the reasons that the Knicks wanted him. I remember when I talked to the Knicks, Brandon was already going, and we were able to connect with the Knicks and try to. I asked them about Grant attending, and then I sent them his crossover technologies profile, and it has strengths and weaknesses. Grant had no weaknesses. You're talking about 27 and a half a game. I believe top three, and I think he led the league in 3-point percentage actually at 50%. Now and I'm not saying he didn't take like four. He probably took about 15 to 20, which is a lot. No, I'm sorry, made 15 to 20 out of 40.
Yeah.
But from defense to even assists, Grant's one of those players that just does everything for us. Doesn't really ask too many questions. He understands the game. I don't have to over-explain things. We'll be adding a little bit of horn sets this year, Grant, by the way, and mixing up triangle a little bit. So that'll definitely, and the reason is very simple. With you and Grant, and even Chevy, and if we bring Xavier back, running the ball through you guys in that horn.
Do you mean Brandon? Sorry to cut you off there. Do you
Brandon.
mean yeah?
Brandon
He said you Grant, and so I'm assuming you mean Brandon Moss.
Oh, wow. I don't know. Yeah, of course, Grant, Brandon, Xavier.
So we can get a clear picture.
Yeah, and then Chevy Moyer. We really have some really good point forward guards. I mean, Grant's kind of, I don't even know. I believe in positionless basketball anyway. So, but these guys are good basketball players. So running them through guys like that have high efficiency and get it done, of course. But we're lucky to have Grant. We're lucky to. I'm definitely not letting him go back to Palm Beach though. That's for sure. Or anywhere else. I think he would look ugly in any other jersey anyway.
So Grant, let me rephrase that second part of my question then. What aspect of basketball do you work on the most?
Oh yeah, I didn't answer that. Do I work on the
I kind of
most?
changed it. I changed it up a little bit. But what aspect of basketball do you think you work on the most?
Weights.
No, I don't.
No?
I don't lift upper body weight. Believe it or not, I only do
Really?
push-ups, and pull-ups. Yeah, upper body. But I
Old-fashioned.
lift a lot with my legs though.
Mm.
I lift a lot of weight
Okay.
with my legs, but just upper body is just all body weight, man. All body weight.
You got to
But
be focused on jumping lately. I mean, you came to that outdoor court at Winter Park and you're just flying through the area. I think you had 3 dunks in a quarter. Yeah, well, 2.5. The one was kind of a push
yeah,
through.
it was. I lost my foot and then I was like, oh.
Right.
But
Right.
I've been hitting my legs pretty hard. So lately, maybe a little jumping, core,
Course, right? Yeah.
balance, yes, definitely
Balance.
balance. Because when you euro, the explosiveness off of your euro step. So say you ever see James Harden do a euro and he'll like
Oh, yeah.
pause and he'll be on the other side of the court or the other side of the paint. That's all explosion in your quads and your calves. So working on that's creating a separation with your euro step. So probably explosion and bounce. Yeah, legs for sure.
Well, I can't wait to see you hit that Euro step during the season. I'll be looking out for it. And I'll reference right now when you just said that. So, but it was awesome having you on, Grant. Thank you so much for joining us, and
Thank you.
we'll see you in the near
guys.
future, man.
I can't wait. Have a good one.
Awesome. Thank you, buddy. That's Grant Gullett for the Florida Flight, and we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with Catching Up with Coach King, which is presented by NV Labs.
At NV Labs, we build web applications that start with an idea. They move through strategy and need an outside eye ahead of wireframes and technical specifications. There's design and layout and functionality, but there's also performance, things like accessibility and data visualization. It all comes together for what ultimately is a successful launch. Over the past decade, NV Labs has built platforms that pair things like data and sports or environmental science. We've built technical training platforms around data science and around network administration, and we've bootstrapped and sold our own product. We are a temporary CTO and an outside specialist in strategy, design, and development. It takes a lot to go from idea to launched web application, but it's all right there in our name. Reach out to hello@nvlabs.com and let's take a look at your idea together.
All right, Coach, you're a family man, you're a league owner, but, mainly you are a coach. And I don't think a lot of people really get to see your coach's mind and work here. So this is a new segment I developed last week. It's called Player Dissection with Coach King. And we're going to show you a clip, and I kind of want you to break it down from a coach's standpoint on why it went well, maybe it didn't go well, whatever happens, happens. But we're going to play the clip, and then I want you to kind of dissect it a little bit from your coach's brain, just so we can see how you think in the coaching world.
All right, I'm ready.
Roll it, baby.
Jake Layman sent away by Wiseman. And then Wiseman running the floor. Wiseman striding and hammering. What a sequence. Undercooked. Send it back.
Yeah, he ate this one up. Damian Lee knew he was going to get to that one. Now it's time to run. Get up and gallop. And Draymond Green is always going to find his rookie.
Well, I love that. And I can appreciate a Warriors clip.
So I can't stop smiling. I love Draymond. He's one of my favorite players ever. I love the new addition of James Wiseman to the team, but born and raised right outside of Oakland, so that was my team. That is my team. That will forever be my team.
I love it. But shout out to the Detroit Pistons first. got to stay home team.
Oh,
But-
Isaiah Thomas, man, at heart,
day.
always.
Of course,
That's
of
awesome.
course. No, but I love that clip. A couple of very important things. When Wiseman is defending, you'll notice. And I almost wish we could have the elaborate TNT kind of deal. But Wiseman stays close to his man, and he has the length and ability to get up there and still block that shot and jump over to help. But probably one of the great things about that clip is the rewarding of the big man. Not only he gets the block shot, he runs the floor, and the point guard makes it a point to get him the ball. And I didn't catch who the point guard was, which guard that was. It wasn't Steph Curry, but to have Wiseman run that length, and I think that says a lot about the Warriors coming up. Big fella, big young guy in James Wiseman gets the block, hits the floor running, sprints out, gets the basket on the other end. And that's exactly what you want out of a big man, somebody that can get up and down the floor with long strides. But then you also want to have a point guard that understands the importance of rewarding the people that are working hard in a game and getting them touches.
I think it's super cool that James Wiseman's taking a full-on master's course in Draymond Green University.
Sure.
Draymond's in his ear every single game. Draymond actually got a double technical or a second technical of a game from yelling at James Wiseman, and the refs thought Draymond was yelling at them, but Draymond was yelling at James Wiseman to get back, to get set, and then to run the floor. And Draymond actually got kicked out of a game for that. But I love how you brought up the fact that, James is coming up and down the floor, and he's young. He's a 19-year-old doing this in the NBA right now. I think a lot of people forget that.
Yeah, he's a young beast. He's very long and athletic. I believe correct me, I can't cite the source, but I read an article a couple of days ago discussing how terrible the Warriors are looking this year. And I just didn't get it. I mean, look, it's not always about wins and losses. I think the upside of what they're doing, and especially not having Clay right now, is giving Kelly Oubre some extra time. And he's struggling. He's coming a long way. He started off pretty rough. But then you've got James Wiseman, you got Looney. These guys are going to they're playing significant minutes right now. So when Clay comes, they're going to fit in. They're not going to be worried about anything but winning games. I think it's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, we do have to wait till next year to get Klay Thompson back with that Achilles injury. But
Sure.
My thing with the Warriors is their defensive efficiency has not been quite there yet this year. But clearly it didn't look like it last night against the Timberwolves. It seemed like everything was kind of finally hitting all cylinders, which was so great to see. And thank you for breaking that clip down for us and talking about big men a little bit, because I don't think they get enough love as they should. I grew up a big Andrew Bogut fan. He was actually first jersey I got my dad.
Really?
Yeah, my dad. I got him an Andrew Bogut jersey because we used to love watching him play, like 2013, 2014, 2015. This big Aussie coming in. He used to be one of my favorite players too, and just hard fouls, would go to the rim, jam a ball down the net, and then look at someone on the other team and just yell in their face, and they're not going to do anything about it. It's Andrew Bogut. He's huge. He's going to kick your butt. So that was my favorite thing. But back to you though. I appreciate you breaking that down, but you're, besides dissecting things and kind of analyzing the game, you kind of bring that to all your levels of play. And it seems like your Circle Christian charter school team has been doing pretty well. And I think we have a clip of them actually that we can show.
We do. Let's run the clip, and I'll be happy to talk to some of these guys.
Yes. Yeah, Carson! Nice! Yeah, Carson!
Yeah,
You got some kids that are buckets. Carson?
listen.
Are you
Listen.
kidding me?
I got to tell you about Carson.
Wow.
So Carson, we're at this the Circle Christian Centurions, a private school, private homeschool deal. They go 2 days a week, kind of this fusion deal. But so we have a basketball team, and Carson at that game was playing his previous team, the team he previous played for last year. So I knew that, and so as a coach, I'm wondering, okay, let's see. We started him. And he doesn't normally start, but obviously he was making his case last game. But he came out blazing. It was one of the most amazing things for the season because, and if you watch youth basketball, and I coach a lot of youth basketball now, you rarely see the kids, like a kid, just get off like that. He had 11 points, and mind you, 6-minute quarters, Jesse. So you're talking about 24 minutes. He had 11 points in a 24-minute game. That's a lot of minutes. That's a lot of points. But and his teammates were looking for him purposely. He was on fire, and really cool to see a kid like that come out against his former team and kind of give them the business. But
You had some guys who I've never seen this in kids before. They would get past the ball and they realize they're open. It's just they're on. You have these guys running catch and shoots.
well,
I've never seen that in kids basketball before.
No, like I said, we the one thing that has been beneficial for me, this may sound salesy or whatever, but it's just the facts. I'm a pro basketball coach, and I think the parents that trust me with their kids, they have learned very quickly that I'm going to be teaching their kids stuff that volunteer dads don't even know. And a lot of people ask me, well, why are you wasting your time with the kids? I love the kids. I was the kid that never got a chance to play. So for me to have an opportunity to select kids, and mind you, if you look at guys like Carson, we have Zach, we have Toby, and these kids are probably the smallest kids in their school. I was that kid. I was too small, and they didn't want me to play. But, we run triangle offense, Jesse, actually. To be honest with you, and other people are like, what in the world? True story. I was talking to Meta World Peace a week and a half ago, and we were talking about some things we have coming up with the X versus X, and we'll talk about that maybe next show or whatnot. But he was joking around and said, yeah, you can, put some clinics. Maybe, you want to get on here and host a clinic on the triangle offense. And I said, oh, yeah, I actually teach triangle offense. I teach my kids. He's like, wait, what? You teach your kids triangle offense? He was like, get out of here. I was like, yes, we teach them triangle offense. Now, they don't run it perfectly, but, we catch the ball on a hop so that we can be ready to shoot just like Steph Curry. We run triangle offense. We move the ball. You saw a lot of passing there. Now that wasn't the case the first game, the first practice, but we've come a long way. And but that's the benefit of the Florida Flight Basketball Academy. So any of the kids out there, any parents that want their kid to learn how to play the game, you best believe you're going to get with me. You're going to learn stuff that look, nobody else is teaching. But I think kids are more resilient. They're more equipped than we think to process some of this stuff, and I love it. And look, in authenticity, we lost that game by 3. I won't talk about the blown referee call or whatever. We can talk about that another time. But we were in it. We were digging, and I had several of the other coaches. In fact, the coaches of the other team came up to me because they watched one of the other teams. They watched our first game, and they were just like, "Wow, you have done remarkable with these kids. They are like night and day. They're playing with passion, with purpose." And but and I do this all the time. I love that people think I'm a good coach, but look, I can coach, but it comes down to the players. They have to decide and make a decision to take what they get and implement it, and they have to work hard, and it's up to them to be better. I can't do that for anybody.
So speaking of the players, is there anyone else that game who kind of, really
yeah.
showed out that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Absolutely. You saw Bryson. He was a blur. Bryson got a couple of steals. I mean, Bryson's one of the fastest kids I've ever seen. He has complete control. He can shoot the ball. He likes to shoot half quarters in practice just to have some fun. He knocks them down, man. And then Grant next to him, one of our big fellas, who's really, say that loosely at that age, but Grant and Everett Jackson, who we're working with Jackson on to use both hands. He's like the one-handed bandit a little bit too much, but shout out to my whole team and even my daughter who gets in there a little bit. The only girl playing in the league, I think, but I'm real proud of them. Way more surprised. There's not a better word in how we performed this year because I got to admit, it was looking like the Bad News Bears the first practice. I was like, oh boy, what are we going to do here? But they've come a long way.
So you guys said you just had your last practice, right?
Yes. Last game is Monday.
Oh,
You should
wow.
come. You should come.
You know what? I think I'm free.
You should.
I would love to come.
We should stream it. I don't know. We'll talk. We'll see.
We can do it. We can
I'd
do
love
it.
for you to come. I'll introduce you to the kids. I love it. I brought Brandon out. Shane
Uh-huh.
Shane Prunty, one of our other flight players, helps coach the team. He's the one screaming, "Yeah, Carson!"
Yeah.
It's very, very exciting. But I love the kids. The kids are our future. They love basketball. God gave them a passion for basketball. So it's just a joy and honor as a coach to be able to not only coach them, but also mentor them and bring in the gospel, bring in God and Jesus into practice, which is something you can't really do in a secular setting, but it's a Christian school. So I love it, man. I love it.
That's amazing. And it seems like the kids are also having a lot of fun out there, which, sometimes I think when you get to a certain age, the fun in sports sometimes might get taken away from someone because maybe it gets too serious and maybe, outside circumstances happen. But it truly seems like a lot of those kids are having a really good time while they're on the court.
They are, and that's probably the toughest part for me is balancing the fact that, like, when I'm coaching the pro guys, and you heard it from Grant Gullett, right? You're talking to Grant, and he's like, "What's the ambition?" Well, the sky's the limit. I ask every player that plays pro what they want, where they want to go, and if they don't say the NBA, I check them because if they're not trying to get to the NBA, which is the cream of the crop, the top, what are we doing? You should at least be trying to get there. And if you don't make it there, that's fine. But if you're trying to get to the NBA, you're going to be a lot better. But with the youth and with kids basketball and youth basketball, I have to check myself a little bit because I drive them pretty hard. I push them hard. I love them for sure. But some of these kids, most of these kids, Jesse, they might not even want to play college basketball. They're just enjoying the game. So I get a little competitive. I drive them. And I push them, but understanding that it's very different between youth basketball and pro basketball because these kids are just out there having fun and their parents have them. Like you have Everett, who is about to join the track and field and flag football team, and he's also an actor. He does performing arts. This kid's in everything, as are other, all the guys have little things, but they're not thinking of NBA right now. They're just enjoying life. They're 11, 12 years old.
And I think, it's important to kind of balance the passion for the sport with, the drive for them to be good. And I feel like that's hard for any coach, really. But, I think one thing you are pretty set on is how much of the game you want to teach and how much of the game, the specific aspects of the game that you just love. And I think it really comes down to those players, which is pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
These kids have been a joy to coach, and in fact, several of them are going to stay with me because Circle Christian, I actually got paid to coach that team, a stipend. But most of these players are going to stay with me at the Florida Flight Basketball Academy, and we get to play some more games. So I'm going to put them in another league here in a couple of months. We're got to get some work on some help defense a little bit and whatnot. Obviously, I'm Mike D'Antoni-ish in my approach to coaching. I'm not as much of a defensive guy. I do know defense, and I've actually been working on my defensive stuff. But I'm looking forward to them to keep playing and winning some more games.
Coach, stick with us. We're going to take one last break. We're going to come back with our final and maybe most important segment of the day. And you guys will out there will see what it is in just a sec. This is Catching Up with Coach King, presented by NV Labs.
In a world where one girl goes on endless adventures, gives you unbelievable toy unboxings, does insane food challenges, and plays way too much Roblox, it's Elle's Adventures. Subscribe now. Do it. Why not?
So what could be more important than coaching, than being an owner, than doing anything that has to do with basketball, than the gear? And the gear. Yeah, you didn't know where I was going with that, huh? The flight gear. Now, you have kind of started your own brand here.
Yeah.
And can you talk with us a little bit about some of the different items you have, what stuff that's coming, stuff that, I also want to hear about, the things that didn't do so well, too. I want to hear it all.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm going to show you some things. I'm going to get into it. First and foremost, and I wasn't even thinking this was going to sell, but we came out with these all navy Florida Flight hoodies that people just love. They've got a nice black inset with the hood. So Hoodie King instead of Hoodie Mellow. I don't know. But and I
King.
you like that? Doesn't
that
have
was we got to trademark that.
Yeah. Anyway, but we've got hats. We've got Florida Flight hats. This is the one that I really thought was going to do well. Which does, people like it, but they like the navy better. This is the gray and navy sweatshirt or sweat hoodie. Man, we've got so much, Jesse. And from the track suits, I gotta scoop. Let me scoop back here and show you guys these. We've got these track suits right here with the Jumpman, our Florida Flight Jumpman on the side. We've got the white. They've got the nice Florida Flight logo on the back, of course. My favorite, though, right now, which is interesting, I've always been a Jordan guy, believe it or not, even though I'm probably not supposed to because I'm a Pistons guy. But, for me, putting Jordan on is kind of like putting on excellence. But I've been wearing nothing but just flight stuff lately. We've got these nice shorts, these gray with the white. We've got the blue, the violet blue with the white, with the flight on the side. My favorite, though, are these nice platinum silver and blue and white. These are really nice and clean. And then
there's no way you have your own pair of flight shoes, is there? There's zero chance you have your own pair of flight shoes.
Listen.
Oh no. What?
Shout out to my wife. Yeah, these are my wife designed these.
That's unbelievable.
Kind of a street deal. Look a little streetish, but these are fantastic, man. And then of course, we can't put flight shoes on without the flight socks. We've got
there's even socks. Okay.
Shout out to Orlando and the city landscape, Florida Flight. Even though we're in Longwood now, so Longwood.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. We got some stuff for that. But shirts, Team No Shovels. We've got the white. We've got the blue Team No Shovels. We've got the Skyline Florida Flight shirts in the blue. We've got the basic flight basketball shirts. We've got a ton of stuff. What's funny, Jesse, is the Florida Flight polo for those super uber professional people. Nice and platinum polo there.
Mm-hmm.
But no, all jokes aside, we have not. I didn't really know I was building a brand, but much like the Jordan brand, when I used to put on Jordan stuff, I felt like I was putting on excellence. But the one thing that I want to articulate to everybody in terms of the Florida Flight brand is when you put on something Florida Flight with our Jumpman, you're putting on hope. You're putting on drive and commitment and dedication. You're putting on something that says, look, I'm a believer in dreams. I'm going to dream. I'm a dreamer, and I'm going for my dream. I'm not going to dream. I got a couple of new shirts. One of my favorite shirts that I can't wait to launch is a shirt that's called Wake Up and Dream. And I think we all have to wake up a little bit sometimes and dream, because I think too many people fall asleep in their dreams and they don't really get active. You got to be awake. You got to dream. You got to be about it. And that's what I want the Florida Flight brand to be about. And I've always said this, the Florida Flight, this is more than basketball. It's about life. It's about dreams. It's about passion. It's about hard work, commitment. It's about finding your purpose. And, and that's been my life story. I found my purpose in basketball. No matter what people said about me along the way, I was going to do basketball, and I'm doing basketball now. At a level I'm not even sure I even knew. Like, sure, I wanted to get to the NBA, but what I'm doing now is so far beyond. Obviously might not make the same NBA money yet right now. Of course, I posted a couple of these hoodie pictures and sold like 10 or 12 hoodies like within like 10 minutes.
Wow.
So I immediately had to place another order. But, in terms of what I'm doing now in terms for basketball and for the culture, stabilizing minor league basketball in the United States, I mean, we're doing something that, after the G League was launched and the CBA and the USBL kind of became fledgling leagues and had to fold, minor league basketball hasn't really had a good track record outside of that. Even the G League teams lose money. They're propped up by NBA guys that need to keep players playing when they're injured or need a place to recruit and train and develop players. But we're excited. But with the flight gear, with the brand, I'm so excited. And it's, it's one thing to create a brand, Jesse. It's another thing to have people believe in it and want to put it on. And that's been the most exciting. I think I got to bring back Flight Gear Friday, where we have
Flight Gear Friday.
Yeah. I think that's what's going to happen. That's got to happen next. So
that does have to happen next. So there is one thing, that now I have thought of that you clearly have not thought of yet when it comes to flight gear, and I believe only you can wear this at the beginning. And then that's right. It's a Florida Flight fedora.
I have thought of this.
Have you?
Briefly, but I haven't given it much time. Initially, I kind of thought, well, fedora is so professional and classy. How can you make a Florida Flight fedora? I don't know. What do you got?
I mean, you put the thing on the front and you throw it on your head like okay, but first off, when we were watching those clips of Grant Gullett, I was just not just watching him play basketball, I was watching the different colors of the fedoras that you were wearing. It just naturally caught my eye. And I knew we were going into this segment later. So I wanted to bring up that fact that there is a possibility that you could wear a Florida Flight fedora and that's your thing.
Huh. I think it might be time. I do have that platinum fedora.
I think it's time. I think it's time.
The navy,
because and I love those hats that you like, even the one you're wearing right now. But nothing screams Coach King like a Coach King Florida Flight fedora.
I think that's it.
I'm just saying.
I don't know if anybody will buy them, but I'll make one for myself.
No. I'm not talking about. I mean, but hey, you never know. It could catch on.
That would
be possibilities are really endless. That's what happens when you create a brand. I mean, heck, you could do a Florida Flight beanie. We're in Florida. It's, it gets to 55 degrees every, 4 months, but it does.
It's funny you say that.
Someone needs a beanie.
I never thought about making hoodies because it's Florida.
Yeah.
But this is easily our biggest top selling item. And people in Florida are buying them. Of course, I have a lot of friends and family and fans outside of, up north in Michigan and Kentucky and whatnot. And they're showing a lot of love and support. But yeah, maybe the beanies are next. I don't know. A little Florida Flight beanie, boom. I like beanies. I don't wear those anymore, but yeah, it's a little hot here for a beanie.
Yeah, a little bit. But just you wait. Florida Flight gear across the country. I'm seeing it now.
Wow.
It's a vision for the future, and we're working on the fedora now too. I'm gonna drill you on that one every time I see you now. Florida Flight fedora. It's really hard to say, actually.
Florida Flight fedora. That's a tongue twister.
Oh yeah.
Fedora. I say it pretty fast. It's my thing. It's my thing, Jesse.
I love it. That's what we do. Hey, anyways, Coach, thank you for joining me today. We are out of time, but we will be on next week. But I think, we had a lot of fun today, and I hope people will tune in next week. This is Catching Up with Coach King. Coach, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Jesse. Have a great night.
Yeah, you too, sir. Catching Up with Coach King, presented by Envy Labs.
Flight Nation, shout out.
At Envy Labs, we build web applications that start with an idea. They move through strategy and need an outside eye ahead of wireframes and technical specifications. There's design and layout and functionality, but there's also performance, things like accessibility and data visualization. It all comes together for what ultimately is a successful launch. Over the past decade, Envy Labs has built platforms that pair things like data and sports or environmental science. We've built technical training platforms around data science and around network administration, and we've bootstrapped and sold our own product. We are a temporary CTO and an outside specialist in strategy, design, and development. It takes a lot to go from idea to launched web application, but it's all right there in our name. Reach out to hello@envylabs.com and let's take a look at your idea together.